with e-commerce, I found it as an alternative to wealth building. Okay. It's an alternative wealth building process. All right. And I can return money under more control in my business, deploying it into physical assets than giving that money to a hedge fund manager or putting it into the stock market and taking yesterday's hit. So what I didn't experience, others did experience, because my cash flow and operations and capital are within my company and within physical products, right? So my alternative to wealth without Wall Street is building physical e-com business assets in a both, tangible physical asset with a virtual storefront. A combination of the two gets me cash out of the bank and out of inflationary state and into a physical product state that I can then return at a higher profit. I can move with stagflation or inflation or deflation, and I can move through recession or depression with my products. And this is where a lot of people will get stuck if they don't have that kind of flexibility, but e-commerce and physical products give you that flexibility. So as the market moves, we can move. And that's very powerful to understand. So what are those steps? And the first one is, what the heck do I even sell? Most people are like, okay, that's great. I get e-commerce. I bought stuff on Amazon or another website and I've shopped online. Great. Those are products. I get it. But what do I sell? So if you have bought or sold on Amazon, even you, Rick, in the last 90 days, and you clicked add to cart on your mobile button, most likely, or on your desktop, most of it's now across mobile phones, by the way, then you have, statistically, based on what Amazon has told us, out of 10 products you purchased, 7 of those went to third-party sellers. You may not even have recognized it when you click the add to cart button, okay? Majority of sales on Amazon.com come from third-party sellers. Okay, it's estimated to be close to 76%. So the other aspect of that model is Amazon sells some of its own basic brands. They're not really competitive, have no worry about them. In fact, they're shutting them down because they manage them so poorly. And the others are corporations that are in there doing their own thing, and we don't necessarily compete directly with them because there's so much more of the market to compete with other businesses, small businesses, and entrepreneurs who are out there running those private label brands, okay, wholesaling, flipping, private labeling. We look to private label products. We're not flipping products for pure profit. We're not doing an arbitrage, retail, shop your way to wealth, online arbitrage, wholesale arbitraging, or FBA arbitraging, and these kinds of methodologies. We're building a business. We're building intrinsic IP. We're building brand and registrations and trademarks. We're building an asset, okay, an asset that has something worth value later on. It's worth more later on when we sell it than at any time during the business building phase. All right, so we understand revenues, which everybody talks about, but who cares? That's just vanity. What we want to understand is cash flow is king and profit is sanity. So when we look at these products and those products you've purchased for the last 90 days, you want to look for products that are solution oriented. And they're typically going to be $50 to $100 to $300 in price range. When you look at the products and you go through your own history and just ask yourself a few simple questions. Why did I buy that product versus another one? Why was I willing to pay $69 instead of $39 for the other product? Why? And what solution was I trying to solve by purchasing this product? Was it for myself? Was it for health? Was it for wellness? Was it for jumping higher, losing weight, gaining weight? Was it for my children? What was the solution I was trying to orient behind that product? When you start to think like a seller, you start to analyze yourself as an avatar. You start to see yourself as a profile. And in that profile, you define age, demographic, life, location, and other things that you're considering about why you, that person, bought that product and why there's millions of other people just like you who have been buying those products too. When you start to put yourself in that frame of mind, you start to discover there are products everywhere, all over you. And in fact, you probably have bought hundreds of products in the last year from Amazon and not realizing that many of them were sold by somebody like me. Okay. And the end result means what? Opportunity. You should see abundance immediately in that opportunity. Okay. That means there are products there for you to sell. The question then becomes, well, which one is profitable? How do I go by the numbers scientifically to prove that I should actually sell this product and I will make money doing it? Okay. Remember, we talked about profit being sanity. It's the number one thing we're looking for in the product. So as we analyze Amazon, a very big storefront of products, and we're looking at our own seller history and saying, well, what could I sell? And looking into Amazon and saying, well, who's selling those products? We're going to begin looking for those products that are $50 to $100. Why? Because they're going to potentially, when the numbers pencil in correctly, have profit in them, enough profit to support Amazon's fees, to support marketing, logistics, supply chain, cost of goods for the product, and of course, leaving what's left, not a profit margin or a gross profit margin, but what's called net profit. Okay. That is the actual take home I put in my pocket for every unit that sells. So after I cover all my cost of goods and all that information, I should be able to take home a minimum of $10 in profit for every unit that sells. I preferred it to be $20 to $50 in profit per unit that sells after I've covered my marketing cost, operations, Amazon fees, and everything else. Because that is where I'm going to make money to grow the business. That's where I'm going to pay myself. It's where I'm going to keep operations going. It's going to be money I can use for additional marketing to take over competitive advantage. And so we want to look at products that have a healthy profit or net profit on them. So as we look at those products and we analyze them, there's some software and tools you can use out there to make those estimates, but it should be roughly 35% of your cost of goods for the sale of the product as a calculation. Okay. So if you're going to go above 35% of all total cost of goods, you're probably running too costly. What you will notice is that any product on Amazon, $30 or less, won't match up with that.
Yeah.
So what happens is in the 600 million products on Amazon that people wonder if they can sell, and this to start with, Amazon is the first channel. Now we have a multi-channel e-commerce strategy. We just start our brand on Amazon. Why do we do that? There are 200 million people coming across there every month, and they're all in buy mode. So I don't have to guess whether they're buying products. And we call Amazon the add to cart button of the world, meaning the audience, conversation, and most of the decisions on the buying process have been done and completed before they show up to buy the product. They are simply validating their worldview, their solution-driven orientation, price point, and they're looking for that right product. And sometimes they'll buy ones that are $10 or $20 more than other products because they feel the value orientation matches up with the solution. So we are looking for those people. Who are they? They're about, of the 150 million Prime members, there's about 100 million of those people who buy more than $1,000 under that avatar every year from Amazon. And they are typically women 27 to 40 plus. And they are buying the majority of those products. So we angle our products and brands towards the largest avatar, largest segment of customer buyer avatars. And we produce products in that way. So as we look at the products we produce, and we manufacture and private label for ourselves, and we put this brand out in the market that literally nobody's heard of yet, because we're leveraging similarity of those products, the familiarity of the product in Amazon, and that equation equals trust, because we're leveraging Amazon's brand to create that trust. And like I mentioned a minute ago, some of those products you add to cart, you may not even realized while they were delivered by Amazon, they came from a third party. You just didn't understand that.
Yep.
So the opportunity for you as a person to build a brand no one's ever heard of and put it in the market is a great competitive advantage for anybody. For a solopreneur, a wanapreneur, an entrepreneur, a business owner who wants to extend themselves into this marketplace, or somebody who's wanting to diversify capital as opposed to putting it into real estate or the stock market, but wants to start and put it into physical products. You should see that opportunity where that buying base is and those products are, and you should understand a little bit of the numbers. So how do the business work, the brand work? Let me give you a quick example. I'm up late one night. I have 4 daughters, and we had them all in 4.5 years. And one of my daughters was up needing to be fed 3 a.m. Mom is recovering from pregnancy, so I'm the one that gets up in the middle of the night. I'm the night owl. She gets up early in the morning. This is how it worked really well with this. So I'm up late, baby's feeding, watching infomercials, zoning out while this kid tries to finish her bottle. And here comes this commercial, and it is for this product, and it's this belt seat pet. Okay, and it has the kids' heads are always falling over, and so this pet is big enough to hang on to the seat belt, and the kids can snuggle with it, and it's got these little pouches in it or whatever, and it's called Seat Pets. And I'm looking at this infomercial, and I have enough experience to realize these guys spent $500,000 to $1 million to produce that infomercial. That's what it takes. And I'm thinking, dang, they're putting a lot of marketing into that product I've never heard of. Now, I'm a parent at this point, so I'm in the perception and orientation now, cognitively looking at things I didn't look at before. So I stopped to look at a commercial for a kid's toy, not something I would have done without a kid, right? But that was the avatar they were shooting for. Yep. So I get up the next morning and I call my partner. I said, hey, I just saw this really cool product. It was up last night. It's this product called Seat Pets. I bet we could make one of these and go compete with them in the market. They got this big infomercial. I looked them up on Amazon. They don't have this really terribly big presence. They don't have a lot of reviews. They look like they're just kind of doing okay. Maybe we can beat them. Now, this is one of the first brands we really took to market. So a lot of this was new to us at that point. And so we took this out and we said, great. He took a look at it and came back the next day and said, hey, my son's really into anime. What if we take their, pet toy seat pet thing, and we put a bit of an anime face on it, and we take penguins and cats and we give them the bigger eyeballs, and we kind of cross over that genre of anime with the toys. And I'm like, well, that's a cool idea. Let's try it out. I'm not really into anime, but if you tell me it's big, then it must be big. So we went out and we had 2,000 of these hand stitched for us, manufactured out of India, and we brought 2,000 of them to market. Okay, so all we did was create a better listing, had kids, had a little girl and a boy, and they were taking nice pictures. It was done with an iPhone camera, literally. And we put the listing up and we wrote some nice copy or whatever. And we basically said, better than Seat Pets, it is Belt Buddies. So we created a brand called Belt Buddies. No one had ever heard of it, right? And Belt Buddies was going to compete with Seat Pets, this other brand who just spent $1 million on an infomercial. We put it in the Amazon market, right? And we were literally better than Belt Buddies. We actually charged a little bit more money, a couple dollars more per unit. 8 days later, we'd sold out 2,000 units. Zero advertising, just being in the market, taking advantage of people who were seeing the infomercial, coming to Amazon, searching for Seat Pets and finding Belt Buddies and going, oh, wait, these have an anime. They have a little character. These aren't just like, traditional animal faces. These are kind of cool. And so, boom. So we ordered another 2,000. 16 weeks later, we sold out the rest of that. And then the process just went on scale after that. We ended up selling that brand later on. We ethically leveraged the traffic, but we learned a lot about what Amazon was doing that day. We learned a lot about the psychology of the buyer. We learned about creating products with no brand in 10 minutes that no one ever heard of, and ethically stealing the traffic inside of Amazon by just getting in the market and competing with someone on competition. So we started to repeat that process and looking for ways to scale it, and successfully have done that through a number of brands and ourselves and our clients to the tune of over 100 million in sales in the last decade on Amazon, following that kind of process into brand growth.
That is an awesome story and a great example. Okay, so what to sell and a great example of Belt Buddies. What's your next step?